This is that one audition with Alyshia Ochse.
Do you know when we did this last? It was August of 2019. So it's been 5 years since we've had you on the show, and so much has changed. And I want to encourage everybody to go back and listen to Eme's first episode, which was episode number 89. This is my exciting, like, when we get to do this every 5 years, is getting to catch up on some epic business moves and some insane auditions. I begged you. I'm just going to be honest on mic. I got to work together in this last 5 years, so we've gotten closer, and I got to see him in the last couple weeks. And I was like, you have to come on the show and you have to tell some of these audition stories. So I'm just going to catch the audience up that you end up doing some of the biggest studio films. So Moonfall, you guys shot it probably 2020, 2021. So you're shooting during COVID. Yeah. It's a huge studio film, $150 million. You got Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson. Like, this is Roland Emmerich, right?
Yeah, Roland Emmerich.
I want to hear the audition story, and then I want to hear the business of understanding. I think we always get excited, right? We're like, oh, when we get that movie or when we get that show, it's going to make our career. Oh. And then shit happens, right? And then you're like, that is totally out of my control, AKA Moonfall comes out during COVID.
During COVID. It's actually, I'll explain the audition situation with both of those.
Yeah.
So for Moonfall, I sent off a tape. I forgot, it was like, I don't even know what month. I think we filmed it in December. So I could send it off in March of that year.
March of 2020. So as the world is falling, you have this audition for Moonfall, which is about the world.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was just right as COVID was about to start. I think it was either that or 2021. I'm not exactly sure. Send it off. I hear nothing. I heard nothing. And all of a sudden, it's October or November. And I get a call, and my reps are like, hey, we're on the line. And every single time that happens, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to drop me. Every single time.
You don't think I booked something? Because also the team calls when you book something. But every time they call you collectively, you're like, that's it. The ship is done.
It's done. It's done. They figured me out.
Yeah, I love you.
every single time, like, all right, I'm fired. They've dropped me. And so they come up and they're just like, hey, you remember that like tape that you sent off, Roland Emmerich, Moonfall, like the Halle Berry thing? And I'm like, I guess I do. They're like, it was like 8 months ago. Yeah, they want you for it. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, no callback, no nothing. They're like, they want you for it. And it shoots in Canada with Halle Berry, and you're going to be playing her husband.
You're like, okay, I've been held up. I'm during COVID. And then they're like, hey, guess what? Do you want to go?
Do you want to go to Canada and shoot this film with
Halle Berry?
And look, it's one of those things that I'm even in this industry is being able to work with people that I remember watching as a kid. One of the reasons I'm even in this industry is because of Roland Emmerich and Independence Day and following Will Smith. I literally had an Independence Day and Will Smith on my wall as a poster. This is what I want to do. And so getting the call saying, hey, you get to work with Roland Emmerich and this movie with Halle Berry, I still have to pinch myself today.
Okay, so I want to know highlights or things that either were in alignment with what you thought he was as a filmmaker, even Halle Berry, whoever you want to include, especially when you have a budget. When you have a studio that's behind you with a budget of the size of $150 million, it's a lot more even than just money on the line. It's a reputation on the line. Yeah. Now it's your childhood expectation on the line.
Yeah.
Did they meet? Did the expectation and the experience meet each other?
I would say, Juan, first off, Halle Berry is the nicest person ever. And I think for me, it's funny because I did a show extant with her and we never actually had a scene in extant. And then for this one, it changed because of COVID, so we had to change certain protocols. So like all the scenes that we had, we couldn't actually shoot together. We were like literally on a phone call the entire movie. But I did meet her again. And it was funny because her last day of filming was like my negative first day of filming. So I was like supposed to shoot like the next day. And so what we did was I came in the day before to read my lines with her as she was there. And it was cool because she came right away and it's like, at some point we're going to be able to shoot a scene in the same scene together. And I was like, I know, at some point that'll happen. But again, you're in Canada and you're shooting this big epic film, but always at the end of the day, it just feels, it feels the same, just with more people.
Yeah. Okay. But I do want to ask, on those bigger budgets, how many pages were you doing a day?
I had to shoot, let me just say this, I had to shoot all my stuff within 3 days. My last day was 18 hours. But what's actually crazy, I've never told you this story. So I'm shooting 2 days, right? I'm going into my third day. And in my third day, this is the last day of shooting. And then after that, we are taking a break. Like, we're done. Like, we're going back for the new year and we're changing locations completely. First shot of the day, I know it's a heavy scene. It's 18 hours. It's like literally all me, every single shot. Basically 2/3 of my movie. First shot of the day, I'm in a Humvee, and it's just a pickup shot. They yell action, and the driver starts driving. He drives like 30 miles an hour for some odd reason. And we go around a turn. And as we go around the turn, I'm in the back seat, and the back door of the Humvee opens up. And it's one of those old school Humvees. And it's going in slow motion. As it's opening, I'm trying to close it, but as the momentum is taking me out, I get thrown out of the vehicle.
Oh, no.
On pavement. This is not supposed to be a stunt. And I fall out of the Humvee going 30 miles an hour. This is before we shoot.
Eme.
The last day of filming. And the reason why they know that I fell out was because they're still filming. And the truck is going by.
The filming truck, so people know.
No, the Humvee that I'm in is going here, and they see me walking down towards camera, and I just hear, oh my God, he fell out of the vehicle.
Oh, shit.
But then at the same time, answering your question is like, this is like a $5 million day.
Huh?
And it's even more because it's not only that, they're going to have to like try to pick this stuff up later at some other spot, get all these people back from a different location for this one day. And they're like, do you want to go to the ambulance or get checked out? And I was like, no, we have an 18-hour day to get done.
So you kept going. And also, and you're also acting with yourself. Hallie she didn't stay for your section of it. Because she's got to go on to the next scene. I'm not like discrediting her. That's also the big budgeted things. They're pulled in a different direction. The number one's over here. So you're acting with the script supervisor? Who the first ladies?
They had someone that was like a reader. But that's why I had to do like a lot more research because I had to set up, same thing with my kid. I wasn't going to see my kid. Same with her. So I had to try to build in as much backstory as possible and try to figure out like how would she read this scene? How would this scene go without knowing, which I had to try to get going through like previous movies and stuff that she's done. And even with my kid, I had to do a Zoom process, just like sitting down and talking with him because I was like, he's 8, but what type of 8-year-old is he? Like what type of kid? And everything that I saw from his photos was like a younger photo. And so it was like trying to pay this like puzzle of trying to figure out this performance.
And you're on your own. Way to take care of yourself in that moment. Like you truly are working by yourself. And I always say when I'm teaching too, it's 4 times as much on the other person's lines, especially if that actor is not going to be present. You have to make sure you had to arc your own scenes. You have to arc the whole movie. Like you said, in 18 hours.
Yeah.
Dude, well done, played. And then I want to flip to the business side of this was what I was saying earlier is you get a movie like this. It's Roland Emmerich. It's Halle Berry. It's like you said, your childhood dream come true. It comes out and it comes out in a vacuum of movie theaters. Like you can't go to the movie theater. You can't call your parents and be like, hey, or any relatives, or even just celebrate with your team and be like, we did a beautiful studio film. Everybody's going to see it. And not everybody got to see it probably that you wanted to. So what is your like business sense? Because then you have Gray Man that comes out the same year, but the Gray Man's on Netflix. So that's a different release situation.
I also found out the Gray Man 2 days after I found out about Moonfall.
Seriously?
Yeah. They were like literally back to back. Like literally I got a call and was like, hey, also for The Gray Man, they want you for this. So I found out both of those movies in the middle of the pandemic, like 2 days after each other.
Did you win?
And those are all like
tapes
with just sent off tapes and no callbacks or anything, and just got both of those.
So the Russo brothers is Gray Man, and that's Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, just so people know. That was a $200 million Netflix production. Was that also a 9-month wait? That was like, I know, throw it on a tape, but was it like the week before? And then you just get 2 massive studio films in the same week? Your agents are loving you. Are you kidding? When they called 2 days later in a round table to let you know you got The Gray Man, were you thinking I might get fired at that point? Or are you thinking, what are they going to call me with next?
Again, yes, I thought I was probably it doesn't end. It doesn't end. But it was shocking because it was one of those things that I really wanted to do, because ever since I did Inhumans, I was like, I want to work with the Russos. I want to find out a way. And so when this came through, and it finally came through, it's just, you're just pinching yourself again, especially back to back in the same year during the pandemic, when I did not think that was happening. And before that, just to let you know, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I've heard nothing from tapes, nothing, for probably 7 months.
That was going to be my question. Yes. Because, we were all kind of sitting ducks and you're wondering when you're going to work again. And then this ends up being your next working experience. Did Gray Man follow? Were you shooting that immediately after Moonfall?
No, there was time. What happened was I shot The Gray Man in, I think, 2021. I think that was the next year. Moonfall, we finished off in December, but then we had an issue with The Gray Man as well, which actually was a beautiful thing that happened, because we were also going into my final season of On My Block. And so I really wanted to finish off On My Block, but because of the delays with COVID, everything finally got to a point that they were all shooting at the same time. And so I had this role in The Gray Man where I was supposed to be like, crazy stunt scene, supposed to be like falling out of a plane, finding with.
You're actually supposed to fall out of a car, not this wasn't.
No. Exactly. This was Moonfall was preparing me to do falling out of a plane. But what happened was that there was now a scheduling conflict. And because of the scheduling conflict, I had to do like, I think a month or so of fight choreography for this scene. And then after that, I was supposed to film that scene. And I wasn't going to be available until May. And so I would have been written out of almost every single episode of On My Block until I think the last episode. And so I tried to find a way to work. And then finally something happened where the Russos were just like, hey, we want to give it to a stunt guy to do this stuff. And I was like, I actually do stunts, but I didn't want to say anything, because they said, we'll give him this other role. It only works 3 of the days instead of like for 2 straight months. We'll pay him the exact same. And it actually ended up being right in the middle of the hiatus of when I was going to be shooting On My Block. So I was able to do all of On My Block and all of The Gray Man all at the same time.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's business gold. And that doesn't always align that way. In any way, shape, or form. Okay, so just from an actor's perspective, look, they're all so different. How do you handle shifting perspectives or shifting characters? I'm assuming walking on the studio, like walking on The Gray Man, you've got sets, everything helps you sink into what story you're telling.
Yeah.
But was there ever an element of delusion or confusion? And how do you handle that when you're shifting from perspective to perspective?
I always just want to make sure that directors, producers are getting what they want from me, and just always trying to just listen as much as possible and playing as much as I can. Honestly, what helped a lot was Inhumans, because it was green screen. It helped a lot because we had a TV show that premiered in IMAX. So we already had to play at this elevated spot with green screens and playing a superhero, which was, at the end of the day, you're just basically playing with more people around.
Yeah.
It's also, it's weird. I have this weird thing that happens with me with auditions. I don't know. It makes no logical sense. But if I feel that I'm going against one person in an audition, I get more nervous. If I feel that I'm going against the world, I actually have more confidence that I'm going to get it. It's the weirdest thing. It makes logically no sense.
Oh, I like this though.
But it actually calms me.
Okay, that was going to be my question. So you go and you do these massive studio films, right? 200 million, 150 million. And then 6 months later, we find ourselves on a set for a story that we both really love and a person that we love. And you were more nervous on Fight Like a Mother?
Yeah, because look, my biggest thing is, so Ashley Platts is like one of my best friends and I just absolutely love her. And I was like, I want to work with you. And I don't care what project it is. And she got me on and I was like, let's do this. And so there's just certain people that I have in this industry that I was like, if you ask me, you don't have to pay me anything. I will do it because I love you as a person and I just want to work with you. And that's just it.
Can I just say, I think this goes back to what I was saying earlier about like you get on a huge film, right? Or you like hit a bucket list of, oh, I got that series regular. I got that thing that I think is going to open my career up completely. And then a pandemic happens, or it doesn't go to a theater, or nobody sees it, or it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to. And then it's like the projects that you're like, yeah, I'd love to come play. I'll come play. That ends up being something that a lot of people see or you get awarded for, right? Like we all got awarded for that. We all showed up to our story that we're like, this is fun. This is great. Let's see what happens and support good storytelling. And then people respond to it. I just find that after doing this for over 20 plus years, and I think that you probably have a similar sense that it's never the ones that you're like, this gonna do it. It's gonna do it. It's gonna make shit happen. And then the ones you're like, whatever. I'll come.
And that's the other thing too, is like the ones that are always the biggest, you're like, that's not going to do anything for me. It's not going to change anything. It's funny. The one that actually has probably given me like the most, I'm not going to say success, but just it's changed a lot, was like On My Block. And I almost turned down On My Block because I auditioned for it and I read it and it was 30 pages. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. It's talking about like kids in a weird type of way. This drama is just really getting to me. And my agent tells me, Eme, it's a comedy. And this is after they had already offered me the role. I went into it thinking it was a full-on drama. I auditioned to it like it was a full-on drama. They gave it to me thinking it was a drama. And I was like, Eme, the show is a comedy. And I'm like, oh, all right, I guess it's okay then.
You're like, I get it now. What I always say on mic, what is for you will find you. It doesn't matter if you mess up the audition, if you go sideways on it, or they keep looking for people. What is for you is yours, man. Okay. And in that regard, I want, because I told you the other day, that one audition, and it is considered that one audition, and you can have many in your career, but I want to hear from the moment of go with getting the Matlock audition, where you got it, what you thought. Was Kathy even attached at that point?
I think she was attached.
I think she was at that. Attached. Yes.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the most epic audition stories I've ever heard, start to finish.
Yeah.
Before we start there, just because now you've worked with Ronald and you worked with the Russo brothers and then you worked with Ashley and us. I want to know if you approached Matlock audition any differently than you had been approaching your other auditions. If you can fold that into the story, I'm curious. And if not, all kosher.
No, I think it's tough because going into it again, it was during the pandemic and it's with the whole changing of the audition process. So now I'm at the process. Just send off a tape and send off something that you're proud of, that you don't have any regrets about. And my brother's a lawyer, and I've always, like, my second career is I would always want to be a lawyer. But I went into it, I was just like, all right, just do the audition, send it off. And I sent it off. And I was like, oh yeah, they're bringing back Matlock. I remember watching that show originally.
Yeah.
And so I sent off the tape, and I hear nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I'm also at that time that you send it off, immediately let it go the second that you push send. And then all of a sudden, I'm just living life. And at that time, my wife was, I think, 7 months pregnant. And I remember earlier that year, my manager, Jason Prelock, who I just absolutely love, we're going through the numbers. And he's just, there's 13 pilots that are coming out this year. And out of that, how many roles will you probably fit for? as a black man in your 40s. And I was like, oh, probably a small handful, maybe 3 or 4. And everybody's trying to go for it. So we said enough. So of course I just forget about it.
And I want to know if you're feeling like this is you against one person or this is you against hundreds of people competing for this. Like you just said, the way you even set it up with your manager, you're thinking a lot, everybody's going to be vying for this part.
I think something was like Network and Kathy Bates and CBS. And the biggest thing is right before this, and I talk about this, it's like a huge shift for me was reading a book, which was Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza. Mm-hmm.
Which really changed it, because right before this, I got to a point, and I want to step back a little bit, because I think it's key. After the Gray Man premiere, like during the Gray Man premiere, I was on the red carpet, and somebody asked me, as I'm in my moment of, I'm like literally living with my dreams on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and Chinese theater, and she said, what are you doing next? And that question always bothered me on that day, because I'm living in this present moment and you're trying to take me out of it. And at that time I realized I'm ready to have a kid. I'm ready to pass this off and have a kid kind of sharing this, because it started becoming like redundant in a way for me. And so I got to a point that I didn't really know what to ask, really. And I was kind of like in a weird rut right before it. Like I really was.
Mental rut, like feeling like emotionally.
Yeah, I didn't know what to ask for. I was getting into a spot that it's like, be a superhero. Like you did that in a way. Like, your brain doesn't know the difference. It's like you wanted to be a superhero. It's like you were a superhero for the season on this thing you wish you would have done better, but you accomplished that goal. So there's a lot of these things that like, my mind was like, you accomplished these goals. Mm-hmm. And so I got to a point that I found this book that I was recommended from another guy who was an incredible actor, Brennan Sklenar, and he told me about this book, and I read it, and it literally finally got me to a place where I needed to ask, and I got very specific, which is very key to this story, where Matlock literally was every single thing that I asked for, that I needed to get.
So okay, what did you ask for when you were sitting down? Because I love this book. I'm into it as well.
Yeah, I asked.
What did you say that you already had?
The TV and film landscape, it's constantly changing, but traditional actor training has largely remained the same.
It's focused on a theater model whose main goal is to help you stretch the expression of your instrument. That's why you can have years of training,
From scene study classes to audition classes,
to even an MFA, and still not be able to book a 2-line co-star.
That's why we created The Bridge for Actors.
A collection of tech, craft, and business online courses to teach you the skills that you need to go from a student of acting
to a working actor.
What I already had, mine was different. For me, what I said that I already had was like, there was just visions of what I needed. I was having a baby. And so I was like, I need something that was stable, very stable, that for a kid. So of course, CBS stable, that is the thing. Something that was close, that I wouldn't have to travel because I'm having a baby that year. And so there was that. And then also it was just the feelings that I wanted to have, which I really think is powerful with Joe. It was just like, I wanted to feel just powerful and comfortable in this space. And I could see it and I felt it. And now going back to the story, we decided to go on a baby moon. And that year I didn't really work. But I was like, I just need to let go, and I just need to finally get to this place. And it just felt like these certain things on this trip was like preparing me for what was about to happen with this audition. Mm-hmm. We go to Costa Rica, and for some odd reason, we do I forgot what flight we're on. I think it was like Spirit. I forgot what it was. It wasn't a good flight. But I was like, so
sorry,
I was like, to go on.
Spirit will not be a sponsor of this podcast.
No, Spirit, I'm sorry, is not a sponsor of this episode. And for some odd reason, they had Wi-Fi. And I was like, you should get Wi-Fi on the way there. I was like, all right, cool. So I get Wi-Fi on the flight, and I'm just like, all right, cool, nothing of it. And usually when I have my auditions, it's insane because I have a $2,500, $3,000 setup. It's stupid. I have tripods for tripods. I have like backdrops for backdrops. It's just ridiculous. I have so many things in there that is just so focused and planned in a space. And so when I went on the baby moon, I like packed the stuff as I was going, and the trip was done, and we're deciding to come home.
And you didn't have any auditions. You're prepared. You brought your stuff, but no auditions while you were there.
No audition. I did have to do one audition while I was there, but it was like, well, whatever. And so we're going home, and we almost, first off, miss our flight, which I never told you.
You did not tell me that part.
But somehow the driver found some way to get us in there right at time. We like got there, international flight, almost, I think, 45 minutes before we took off. It was insane. And we finally go there, and I'm like, I'm not thinking about anything. So I throw in all of my filming equipment, and I wear like a shirt like this, and I pack it all away. I have nothing. And so literally I'm in the most barest, no lights, no nothing possible. And so we get on the flight, and we're flying home, and I'm like, I should get some Wi-Fi again. You got Wi-Fi there. You might as well get Wi-Fi on the way back. So I get Wi-Fi. And then not probably 15 minutes later, I get a text message from my manager, and he says, Murphy's Law. And I was like, Murphy's Law? And I was like, oh, you mean the TV show? And I was like, no, it's actually Matlock. And he's, what time do you land? And I tell him, and I lied. And I was like, oh, I landed like 1:30, 1:20. He's like, great, because you have a callback, a producer session for Matlock at basically like 1:30. But at this time, I wasn't supposed to land until 1:45. So I was like, all right. And and it's over Zoom. And I was like, okay. And I was like, do you still have the same sides? Everything is okay, great. And can you film it on the plane? And I was like, no, actually, no, he didn't say, can you do it on the plane? Can you, as soon as you land, can you try to find like a bathroom to go to? You might have to do that. I'm like, all right, sure, I guess so. And then I'm friends with his wife as well. And she sends a text, and she, what about the airplane bathroom? And I was like, the airplane bathroom? I was like, can you try to do it from there? I was like, yeah, let me try to see first off if I fit. And I'm just like literally texting and all of this stuff. So I go into the airplane bathroom, and I go inside, and I'm 6'3", 240 pounds. I'm in there, and both of my shoulders are literally touching the walls of the bathroom. And I'm just like, but I look at the lighting, and I'm like, the lighting works. So I'm like, okay, great, we're good. We're good. And I was just like, so I go over to the flight attendant, and I was like, hey, I have a meeting in here. I have a meeting that came up. Can I like film in the bathroom, like at any point? And she's like, you can, but you can't get on your phone. I was like, oh, okay. So as soon as we land, I could go and I could jump in to the bathroom and do the audition.
While everybody's deplaning. And how many scenes are you supposed to have? Like how many was?
I have 2 scenes from what I know. I have 2 scenes. And in my scene, I have to dance and yell.
It's just too good.
I have to do both of these things in the episode. And we're set. We're like, good. We're good to go. We're clear. We literally send our flight information to casting. So casting and all the producers are just there getting updates. He's over the state of Arizona or whatever it is. He's over here. He's over there. And so all of a sudden, we're on the flight, and I'm like getting ready to go. And the pilot comes on the air, and he's sorry to interrupt, but it looks like one of the bathrooms is out of order in the back. But it's fine. We still have another bathroom if you need it, because me and my wife are literally the second to last seat of the flight.
Right before the bathrooms.
Right before the bathroom. So we have, it's just me and her in that seat, and then behind us is empty. So I was like, okay, that's fine. We still have another one. So I go up to her as just like the flight attendant again. I was like, hey, I know this one is out of order. Can I still use it if it's out of order? She's like, yeah, just give me like a 5-minute warning so I could spray it down and stuff. So it's out of order because someone just exploded in there. Stinks, it's horrible. It's like, great, we're fine. So we're about to land, and I'm just like, look, they send me the link, it's go time. But right now, I told them that I'd land at 1:30. It's 1:45, 1:50. So now they're just like sitting here, just waiting. And I'm just like, uh-oh. And just as this is about to happen, the pilot gets on and says, hi, everybody, just to let you know, the other bathroom is now out of order. So now both bathrooms, just bombs. There's just bombs in there. In the bathroom that I need to use. Mm-hmm. They're out of order to the point that she's even taping it down. I go back to her and they're like, hey, I know that it's out of order, but is there a chance that I could use it? She's, yeah, I guess so. We could.
She's like, I don't think you want to.
I don't think you want to. It's really bad. And so all of a sudden, we get the clearance and we're about to land. And I send over to Jason, my manager. I was like, it's go time. We're about to land. And just as we're about to land, the pilot gets on the air one more time and says, hey, everybody. So it looks like we've landed, but someone is occupying our gate. And since we've occupied the gate, we're just going to be on the terminal, on the tarmac for the next 15 minutes. Now, the problem is, if you're on the tarmac, you can't get up from your seat. Mm-hmm. So now I can't go to the bathroom. Now we're sitting here, pause for the next 15 minutes, and I look over to my wife, and I was like, we're already like 20 minutes in, and they've been waiting. I think I just have to do it from my seat. And I have nothing. There's no lighting. There's no anything. No tripod. So I'm about to start my audition. My wife's, no, here's what we're going to do. You go to the seat behind us, which is completely empty, and I'll direct everybody in regards to sound in front of us. So I go to the back seat. It's now dead quiet because now we're on a flight and people are just waiting. My first line is, one of them, it's like, all rise, and I start dancing. That's one of my first lines. So all of a sudden, I'm doing selfie mode, person that wants a $3,000 setup for tapes. And literally, I'm holding my phone in selfie mode.
Oh my God.
And I turn on the camera and go and zoom, and all of the boxes.
I was just going to say, because this is a series regular, so like how many people we got from CBS chilling on that call waiting for you?
And so at that point, we turn it on. All the boxes pop up, director, producers, showrunner, and they get up and they're like, hey, oh my God, are you actually on a plane? And I turn the phone slightly this way and I open up the window to the plane and I put it back down. Uh-huh. And now, one of the things that's very key about this audition is that this character in the description is calm under pressure, does not freak out. That's literally what the breakdown says.
There you go.
And so they asked me, hey, I know you're on a plane and stuff like that. Do you want to wait? We could wait until later to do this, or we have time. And I was like, you know what? We're right here. Fuck it. Let's play.
There you go. Okay.
And turn it on. We do the first scene, and I would say, all rise, and just start dancing. It was fine. People are looking back, and my wife's like, oh, it's fine. He's just in the middle of an audition. It's fine. He's in a meeting, and we're doing it, and we keep doing it, and we're like just playing, and we're just playing. We do this scene a couple times, and then all of a sudden, sometimes in the middle of like my audition, I'd be going, and the pilot would be like, all right, everybody, we have about 5 minutes left until it opens up, and just sit back and relax. And so during those times, I'm like, all right, hold for pilot. Let's do it again. And so we do it a couple times, and then all of a sudden, the seatbelt sign lifts. And as the seatbelt sign lifts, everybody starts getting up, and I see the flight attendant. She runs over to the bathroom. And I see her. She's just trying to open up the door, trying to like rip the tape off of it and everything. And I say to them, I was like, hey, just to the casting and everybody, I was like, hey, the door just opened up. Do you want me to go over and do that? And they're like, yeah, sure. And so I stand up, and I'm looking towards the flight attendant, but the camera and zoom is still on. And they see behind me. Yep. And they see that people are grabbing their stuff from stuff and walking the other direction. And right then, I'm not even paying attention. I'm just like, oh, hey. I was like, which bathroom should I use? Like, which one has like less shit in the bathroom? And they're just like, oh, they're like, you're on an actual plane. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on an actual plane. What do you mean? I was like, oh, behind me. Yeah, they're leaving. But I'm trying to get onto the bathroom real quick. So she finally opens up the door, and we get inside, and I sit down, and I'm like that guy in a little coat just sitting on the seat. And so I put down the phone on the seat, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, and I hear Charlie Puth playing, blaring on the speakers in the bathroom. And so I made a joke saying, this is probably going to be one of the best acting auditions because I have to act like this room doesn't smell like complete and utter feces. It just smelled like shit. And then Charlie Puth is playing in the background for a soundtrack. And then all of a sudden, we go in and we start doing the scene. And right when I'm about to start, actually in the middle of it, the pilot gets on. And he's like, all right, everybody, just to let you know, thank you so much for flying with Spirit Airlines, which I think it was. And your baggage carousel is baggage number A and this and this, just going on and on. So then I finish my audition, I do it, and then we get finished with the first scene. And then I'm just like, all right, great job. And I was like, and what about scene 2? And they're like, wait, what? Like, no, he's like, no, we don't have to do a scene 2 because we actually cut that scene from the script before, so you don't have to do that anymore. And I was like, oh, all right, great. And so we end the call, and I'm walking out, and like cleaning crew is there trying to clean up. And I see my wife, and she's like, how'd it go? I was like, I don't know. Think you went all right? I have no idea. So I get off the flight, I get in the car, and my manager, before we even get to, as we're like leaving the airport, my manager says, don't unpack your bags, you're flying to Toronto tomorrow morning.
Snap. You can't write a better story. You truly can't. You truly can't. Did you feel like in the moment, because you're just so willing to go there and just do it in that moment, specifically with that character description, that how you handled it, regardless of your talent? Let's just take your talent away, because I'm sure everybody else that was on that callback call, also very
talented people. Yeah.
Very talented people.
Yeah.
Are you assuming the way you fucking handled it is what got you that job with that character description?
I think that absolutely helped. Absolutely.
It doesn't get any better than that. Also, babies bring with them what they need. I know.
I hear that all the time. Riz is like, perfect. You have a baby? All right, you're going to have a good year.
You're going to have a great year. And I just wanted to look, I love hearing people's journeys and hearing at certain points. And the first time we talked, there was so much to overcome and or just learn as an artist, the business part of being an artist, right? Like, honestly, the business part of that Matlock audition is everybody on this call is talented. This is definitely going to be selection, not rejection. And then you handling it probably the way that you did is absolutely what got you the job. And unfortunately, all those other wonderful actors sitting in the waiting room, they couldn't manufacture a plane situation. Yeah. They can't manufacture like, oh, I went out of town at this moment. So I just feel like we get to learn the 3 pillars, right? Like our craft absolutely all the time. Your tech, like your setup at home, you playing with it, working with it, being on set, and then being so calm under pressure, meaning literally being on a plane, being like, that lighting will work. I could do it like this. Let me try it like this. Let me try this. Like you went into like tech expertise to support, and thank you tech and Zoom, and thank you COVID, because we wouldn't have been so versed in how to do things like this. And then that third part of knowing how the business works and just continuing to let it play, because I want to know what it's been like to be on another show again. And now on a show that's being so well received. Yeah. I mean,
it's still shocking to kind of be in this situation. As it's time for the 3-day, actually it opened up to 7.7 million.
That's hella ratings right now.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So we're going to get a second season. I can't wait. Here's some techie craft stuff that I want to ask. You were able to like curate an environment where you got to show them how cool you get to be under pressure. Now, this character, you come on set, it's a great series. How are you working on that character's essence in this situation? It doesn't get any hotter or harder than being on an airplane in a small seat as a 6'3" guy trying to be calm and cool and collected.
So I think at the end of the day, it's like just being able to like let go and realizing that you're enough. Because I think especially with the whole Joe Dispenza thing, it was like, it made me realize, oh yeah, if I had that audition on the plane, if I had that audition in person, if I have that audition, like that's just who I am in my essence at that time. And so I have to trust it to some degree that I'm there and just hopefully listen as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I heard a great story a few years ago as well, where somebody got their first series regular and it was a large reoccurring that was backdoored into a series regular. And her chemistry Zoom for this character was over while she was being a stand-in for Mariah Carey on a show where they kept playing Mariah Carey in the background. So you know what she did is she brought it into her audition. Like it was they were talking, her and her girlfriend are supposed to be talking at a bar. And she kept being like, it's not even Christmas yet. They keep playing this. That's what got her the job. Her handling her environment while still staying in story. You handled your environment while still staying in story. Like that, kudos. That's what an actor does. That's what after 20 years, those are I call those happy accidents. When people ignore their environment and stay in a scene, I think lets us know that we're watching acting.
Yeah.
Versus staying in it, setting it up, playing. I tape right by a fire station. Sometimes it goes off and sometimes it's perfect when it goes off.
You just have to use it. You have to always use whatever's around you.
Yes. And this is one of the most epic stories I've heard in the 15 years I've been doing the show. Like I'll put it in the top 5 for sure. And you handled it like a G. And that got you the show. So what do you want to leave us with? What you've learned from Matlock with this character and why people should watch the show? Because it's so good.
First off, just in regards to Matlock, I just think the entire cast is absolutely incredible, and the story that we're trying to do in regards to just a network procedural is slightly different. I don't want to give away too much in case people have not seen
exactly
what I mean by that, but I just believe that if you loved the pilot, you will love more of the series, because like with any pilot, with any show, you see what works and then you dive more into those things that work. So there's just elements of comedy that we just dive into more. There's more of just like Kathy and the characters that we dive into more. And the story and this twist and this, I was about to give something up.
Yes.
There's just multiple things that are happening at the same time.
Okay. So then that's what I want to ask as an actor. That's great for the audience. But as an actor working on a television show, sometimes you get your scripts week to week. Since there is so many turns, since there are so many surprises, are you as Eme the actor getting these elements early on? Are you getting these scripts early on in order to make these educated decisions? Are you having to make decisions and then every week you're getting surprised by what happens the following week?
There's a person that I just absolutely love, and it's Bryan Cranston. And Bryan Cranston does this thing that I just love. And what he does is he acts like every single thing is the absolute truth. And if he did something, he did it. And if he didn't, and he'll let the story highlight or evolve to tell him that if he's lying or not. Like that's what he'll let the story decide if he's lying. But at that moment, if he believes like, I never killed that kid, and if he's telling that person, I never killed that kid, and the next episode you're like, oh, I did kill the kid. It makes it seem like he's just that much more believable as a liar because he's just constantly playing the truth in every single situation. And so that kind of gives me a little bit of ease just with Bryan Cranston and just that knowledge of it. But at the end of the day, it's like you're still working and hopefully at the end of everything, telling the story that you want to tell. And that's it.
And that's it. That truly is it. And I think that's the best way to approach it, because may this go for 7-8 years, and whatever you do in season 1, it's going to eventually evolve. And that's part of going up the ladder, I think, as a creative person. Everybody's yearning to get to a certain mountaintop, having not earned some of the responsibility to get there, meaning you can't have the career that you've had and not be able to land on this set now and now know how to handle it if it goes for 7 years. Do you know what I'm saying? Just from even that information alone. So I think that if getting on a set and it freaks you out, like you're not quite at that place yet to understand how this is going to work. Again, like I said earlier, understanding the pillars of this industry, your craft's always been on point. Now you've like upped your game on your tech and you understand the business. You know exactly what you need to do to be in a bathroom and nail the moment.
Well, I also, true. But I think it's also, I also look at everything as not everything's guaranteed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I also have to think about, it's like the industry owes me absolutely nothing.
That part.
And at the end of the day, it's just, my biggest thing is I just want to be a person when I'm on set that you enjoy working with and hopefully is a nice person. And like, at the end of the day, that's all I really care about, because none of this is guaranteed. Like, none of this is absolutely guaranteed. And yes, I look at my career and I was like, oh my God, I've got to do a lot of these things, but still, I'm still this kid in the playground. I'm still a kid that, like, I'm seeing this person I like worked across as a kid, or that I'm working across that I imagine watching as a kid. Like when I was on The Gray Man and I'm seeing like Ryan Gosling and like Crafty, and we're just like, he's like chatting and talking, or like was shooting the shit with Billy Bob Thornton about basketball. You know, it's like, those are actually the moments that I live for. And all the other stuff is just listening.
Can't say it any better. Truly can't say it any better. Thank you for coming and giving us a piece into the last 5 years, and specifically the story. Like, I really way to handle it like a beast. Congratulations on the show.
Thank you.
I think that like more people need to hear that, right? Like it takes a lot to get an appointment. It takes a lot to execute an appointment at home, in a box, in a plane, in a bathroom.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to then get good scripts and then show up to work every day. And it's really nice when you get to that place and people want to see it.
Yeah.
That's icing.
And I will say one thing is, and what I've started realizing is, and I think it was the same thing with the red carpet event with The Gray Man, it's, you have to set your own happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the funnest things I've ever had to do were the most unexpected things I've had to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, again, so I'm doing Matlock now, but then meeting you and working with one of my best friends, Ashley, are beautiful moments. And I think right now, what I'm looking for in my career is just continually being able to share in beautiful moments.
I agree. I so agree. And I couldn't, like, what a joy for us to be on set together, but we didn't get to work together. So next year, we just get to do that, right? We're going to get to do that together.
Yeah. And I know exactly what to talk about, and we know what I'm talking about. Exactly.
We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. We're just saying that here right now in 2024. So when we come back around and be like, you know that Joe Dispenza trick we told you guys? Go check out.
I highly recommend that book. I'm rereading it right now. And I just think if you are in an area that might be stuck or trying to figure some stuff out, read that book, and it just really could change the way you think about things. Mm-hmm. To realize that you are your own magical genie, honestly.
You truly are. You truly are. I adore you. I'm so incredibly grateful that we got to do this again, and I hope we get to do it again and again. Where can everybody find you and watch Matlock as well?
Yeah, so again, Insta, that's what I usually have. Just my last name, Ikwuakor, at Ikwuakor. And then again, we have Matlock right now, which I'm super happy about. We just had the pilot, and then we premiere on our day, which is going to be Thursdays on October 17th at 9 p.m.
Yay! Yay, this is so fun. Thanks, honey.
Absolutely.